Hello and welcome everyone to the mid-season major of the Eternal Tournament series. I am going to be your host, Bairdrus, and of course I am joined by the wonderful Truedawn today. And we are going to have a really, really solid tournament for you guys today. This is going to be a very, very exciting one. We got a $500 cash prize pool on the line, and we're going to be holding it over this 2-day tournament. So the way the format of this tournament is going to be structured, for those of you who don't know, is that we had 16 players invited. 3 of them came from the invitational winners. Those would be aReNGee, Toth from Season 1, and Angry Chicken from Season 3. Then we invited 12 more players based on their series point finishes, and we had 1 player, SMJ, who qualified through the LCQ. Went ahead and shuffled those players around to make 4 groups of 4 players who are going to be playing each other round robin today to determine the 8 players who are going to make our Day 2 double elimination bracket. For Day 1, we're going to be streaming the group matches, like I just said. In Day 2, we are going to be covering the entirety of the double elimination bracket. We do not cover the first round today to shorten it a little bit. And by that, I mean that the first round of the round robin in each group will be played out beforehand. We'll get to see the winners finals, or the win and in for each bracket. And then we will see both the losers semifinals and the losers finals for each of those brackets as well, to determine who our 2 players from each of the brackets will be.
Yeah, it should be an awesome day here. We have like the best of the best from the Eternal Tournament series all gathered together to scrap it out, see who's the best in our mid-season major here. It's a really large cash prize compared to what we normally offer, so stakes are super high, and it should be really awesome.
Yeah, and just like you mentioned, the stakes are a little bit higher than they normally are. First place here today, or well, tomorrow rather, will be getting a $200 cash prize, the midseason major champion Discord badge, and 16 series points, which will help qualify them for the World Championships, which we will be hosting in about 5 months. They also go towards the player of the year. So series points, not completely irrelevant here, going to help out the players who end up taking them home quite a bit as they work through the rest of the year to qualify. Second place is going to be $100 and 12 series points. Third and fourth place is going to be $50 and 8 series points. And 5th through 8th will be $25 and 4 series points. So more cash than we have ever handed out before. So it should be super exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be it's really awesome that the players are going to have an opportunity to get rewarded for all the work they've been putting in through the whole season since Eternal came out. They've devoted a lot of time to the game. They've had cultivated quite a mastery of it, and now this tournament is the first of many we're going to have through like the whole year that really help give them a source to pay off that work they put in to be successful in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some fantastic matchups today, as you can imagine. I mean, we have 16 of the best players in the whole tournament circuit going to be duking it out for their shot at all this prize money and fame. So we're going to have some really, really great matches, including our first match is going to be Ilya K on FTJ Vault and Toth 201 on Akaria Gold. They're going to be fighting it out in the winner's side of Group A. And that should be our first matchup for today. And the winner will be advancing on to Day 2 with a guaranteed spot. The loser will drop down in the bracket to play the winner of Rewind versus Sir Rhino. That will be our second match of the day. We're going to be covering Rewind versus Sir Rhino, seeing which one of those 2 will be facing the loser of this match.
Yeah, and this matchup should be really interesting. You see Iliak's deck is basically a Praxis Tokens deck, splashing Justice for a couple choice cards, mainly Stand Together and Great Parliament. You also get some Vanquishes just because. But it's gonna be interesting to see how cohesive the mana is, because it's not like a trivial cost. You are playing Amber Acolytes, although he's only down to 3. Temple Scribe's gonna be rough to cast. He is main decking 3 Cloud of Ash, which is essentially the red crystallized. It's trying to do an impression of that card. So he has a lot of stuff going on here. The Vault engine, Xeon Obelisk, all the token makers. So he has that same game plan going on, but the upside of Great Parliament and Stand Together to give him some staying power.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring it up. Ilya K's list is a team list, actually. Team Voprex, Ilyake, Unearthly, and Shed, I believe, all brought the same FTJ list today. So we're going to see how well it performs over the course of the tournament. On the other side of the table, however, we have Toth 201 bringing back his notorious Akaria Gold deck that he has been running for quite a while in the tournament, in the Eternal Tournament Series. Did not bring it for the Season 3 Invitational, but he did queue in with it for this tournament. We're going to see how well it plays off the old toolbox, as it has lovingly been described by myself. So we are jumping right into game one, though, and we are going to see which of these two players can come out on top in our game one.
Yeah, this should be a pretty interesting matchup. I think that just offhand, I'd probably give Iliak a slight advantage just because all of his token cards do not trade for Toth's removal profitably. Toth can have some big creatures like Sandstone to block and cold the smaller creatures, but Iliak has Sandstone as well. So I think that the reactive elements of Toth's deck are not going to line up well against Iliak's. So we'll see how that pans out as we move here into the first couple turns.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see Toth starting off with actually taking a 1-power hand, but he did have a Seek power in hand, also hitting a seat off the top, undepleted no less. So he was able to drop that down. We're going to see Toth go ahead and jam in one of these Awakened students here and get ready for the beatdown that he's going to hope to put on Ilyake in the early turns of this matchup.
Yeah, and this Awakened student should do a little bit of damage. We see Iliak has that Sandstone, but he has a bunch of seats in hand, so unless he rips a sigil off the top, it's going to come into play depleted, putting him back a turn. These Awakened students get to come in again, so he could end up taking a lot of damage due to his mana base.
Yeah, and that's what Toth is going to be hoping to capitalize on this matchup. We do see a Desert Marshal picked up for Ilyake, so he does at least have something to take care of one of these Awakened students in the meantime, although the damage will still get pushed through. Toth picking up a Vanquish here. This is actually going to be very important for him. He's going to need a way to clear the Sandstorm Titan that Ilyake is going to establish next turn and try and hold the board down with. And now that Toth has picked up the Vanquish, looks like he's actually going to be able to roll through a lot of this damage. We could be seeing a very quick game one out of Toth here.
Yeah, it looks like Iliak's going to get tempoed out of the game, or at least Toth is going to do a lot of damage. Whether or not he can close the distance, we'll see. But this Vanquish is going to take off the Sandstorm Titan. He's going to get to crash him with his entire board. He can end step a Desert Marshal. He wants to apply additional pressure. So Toth is just really putting it to Iliak right now.
Yeah, and Ilyake is at the mercy of his draw right here. Picking up a non-unit here is going to end the game, actually. Toth is going to wisely ambush in one of these Desert Marshals, I would assume. And yeah, that's going to guarantee him game one. See Ilyake throwing out the concede. So a very quick game one out of Toth, allowing himself to tempo his opponent out. And what looks like a very interesting keep out of him there with only the 1 power and the Seek power turns out to be a very powerful hand.
Yeah, Toth was able to have a very proactive draw, keep Iliak in the back foot, and Iliak's deck does not have a lot of reactivity. It has like the 3 Vanquishes, and that's it. Also, there are a lot of cards in Iliak's deck that don't do anything by themselves. They need creatures. He has Zenith Obelisk, Vault of Praxis, Cloud of Ash, and Stand Together all do nothing without creatures on the board. And you saw that game where he only drew a Sandstorm Titan and had a Vault of Praxis and 2 Zenith Obelisks and a Stand Together and couldn't do anything. So when he has draws like that, I guess that's one of the inherent flaws with the deck. We'll see how often that happens, though.
Yeah, we will indeed. Looks like we're in the sideboard right now. Toth actually pre-sideboarded for this matchup since the players did know who they were running into. We'll cover Ilyake, I guess, real quick since he went ahead and fixed his. Looks like he put in a couple Scorpion Wasps and some more Vanquishes out of his deck to try and combat this strategy. And I imagine Cumber Healer might have also come in as well to try and stop the early beat down game plan and hold the board. On Toth's side, we see a couple of Torches coming in. I believe a Rise to the Challenge. And I think he might have also...
I imagine you'd want Harsh Rule, you'd think, right? Because there's could be a lot of ways the game plays out where you get swarmed by tokens. But Iliak does have 4 standing together, so it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, it is very awkward, and there's some argument that Toth thinks he wants to be the more proactive player here, so he's not worried about harsh ruling the board away. We'll see if it did actually come into the board here. Getting into game 2, Toth with a very fast start once again. He's going to have a nice curve here.
Yeah, Awakened Student has just been putting in a lot of work these first 2 games. It's just one of the most powerful 2-drops in the game. It's relevant at all points. It just keeps growing and growing. You have to deal with it or you're just going to die. So we'll see if Iliak's going to be able to. the current texture of his hand does have the wasp that will allow him to take care of the awakened student. But outside of that, he has a bunch of stuff. It's going to take him a while to deploy, though.
Yeah, definitely. Although his hand is looking much nicer than his last one. Has plenty of units to chump down. Interesting here, deciding to drop in the Vault of the Praxis while he has an opportunity, understanding that he is going to take a decent bit of damage here. And Ilyake really doesn't have a way to clean the board up, obviously not playing any type of harsh rule effect in his token deck. So we're going to see if that ends up being a misstep, and this allows Toth to capitalize and push through a ton of early damage here.
Yeah, we're going to see some of the line get deployed. He'll draw a card off of it. He can chump block a bunch here, or possibly leave one of the 1/1s around, or just take some damage. In the next turn, he could play a Scorpion Wasp, kill one of the big threats, but there's still another one, and Amber Acolyte. So he's kind of like, he can chump block for a while, but I don't see a path currently for Ilyake to actually stabilize.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for Ilyake to find a way to stabilize here in this matchup. We have a lot going on Toth's side of the board and only a few tokens coming out of Ilyake, so we will see if he can manage to beat this off. He does have the Vault in play, which is important to note. You know, that can help out quite a bit since he's going to need a way to refuel constantly and dig for answers against Toth's ever-mounting board.
Yeah, these assembly lines actually do like a reasonable impression of Time Walk, where they kind of just, he plays them, draws a card, they all chump block. He can then like play another one, they all chump block. So he'll eventually, hopefully, draw into something. But thus far, he hasn't really drawn anything relevant.
Yeah, very true. We do see the Martial Ironthorn coming down, and as long as that Martial Ironthorn isn't attacking, Ilyake is going to need to find a way to deal with it, which he currently does not have. No Vanquishes laying around. And Ilyake is short on Justice right now, so he's going to have to drop Amber Acolyte next turn to even find Justice to help him out in the situation that he currently finds himself in. Going to see what this Scorpion Wasp comes down and blocks. Not surprising that it has to take care of the Awakened Student, although unfortunate for Ilyake. I'm sure he would like to see these Sandstorm Titans go away.
Yeah, but I can't get Justice at any point with this Amber Acolyte, which we see him like to do with this turn. And again, he gets to play the Amber Acolyte, play a Temple Scribe, draw a card, has Chump Blocker still. So he's like spinning his tires, but there's a Vanquish that allows him to start turning the corner. He may be able to like clog things up enough to just eventually turn the corner.
Yeah, and this may be the game plan of the FTJ Tokens deck, is that if you get that Vault down early, you can just kind of gum up the board. Although we do see Ilyake only holding one unit, so the card draw is not guaranteed on his next turn. It's going to be important that he does pick up a unit right off the top. That way he can continue cycling, as that is becoming the biggest part of his strategy currently.
Xenobos also a good. The Stand Together is not the best. He could cast both and have pretty reasonable blocks on the Sandstorm Titans. Actually, can double block both and only sacrifice 2 creatures. So that's available path for him if he wants to do that, but it precludes him from playing the Thalir's Favorite. So, and since he didn't play the Thalir's Favorite, it looks like that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to try and go ahead and chump down both of these Sandstorm Titans. We're going to see Toth is going to respond with one of these torches, but the second Stand Together actually will go ahead and save the unit. We'll see if he actually does elect to fire it off here, and it looks like he is deciding to.
Yeah, against his deck, there's not really going to be better torch targets, but the second Stand Together is going to negate that, pump everything up to 3/3, or the 4/3 in the case of the Amber Acolyte. You can throw double blocks on both Titans, and each Titan can only deal 5 damage to 6 toughness. So he's got to trade essentially like 2 Grenadin for 2 Sandstorm Titans.
Yeah, this is a very, very solid trade here. Only losing 2 units to get these Titans down, and now it does look like Ilyake has taken back this game quite a bit. Toth's going to need to find something, maybe like an Ikaria here. That would be a very solid pickup for him. Something where he can just float over the board.
Yeah, Toth's deck doesn't really have anything that provides the same level of inevitability that Vault of Praxis does. He just has more large haymakers. So yeah, something like that, like the Ikaria or a Jack. And he did draw Rise of Challenge to get whatever he wants. Mystic Ascendant also be good. So that's how he kind of replaces that card draw. He just has giant haymaker threats that are usually worth multiple cards.
Yeah, and I feel like he's going to have to grab the Akari here, and Toth does end up deciding to do it. You are risking the Scorpion Wasp out of Ilyake taking care of the Ikaria, but you really don't have another way to win at this point, and K has hit that point in these token style decks where they do outvalue you very hard as you move into the late game. Once they can establish even a single vault, they do have that inevitability that you were speaking about to continue the game going as long as they need. They can really grind out most of the other decks since their card draw just becomes so much more efficient.
Yeah, and we do see Iliak's hand's a little awkward right now. He has Cloud of Ash and 2 Protect, so like 3 very situational cards. It's unclear if he'll be able to leverage those. It's weird to see the Protects in at all. I guess they're there to protect your attachments like Vault and Zine Obelisk from things like Ruin. But in situations where that's not really important, you end up facing down an Icaria with 2 Protects in your hand.
Yeah, and this is not what he is looking for. He is at least able to pop the Aegis off of the Icaria, but he's going to need to find something big here to make sure this Icaria goes down. It's either going to be Scorpion Wasp or Vanquish, and we'll see if K can rip one right off the top. And Marison's Disciple at least buys him a turn, so this gives him a chance for another draw step, and he gets another card draw right here from the effect. He's going to hold the Amber Acolyte to make sure that he can cycle once again with the Amber Acolyte and the Talir's Favored. But unfortunately, Toth has this Desert Marshal and is likely just going to bring down the Wasp.
Yeah, he had the Protect that we were just bashing. It was actually going to save the Wasp from being silenced, but Toth has 2 silence effects, so the Locust will be brought to the ground.
Yeah, and Toth deciding he is, in fact, going to bring it to the ground. Definitely once he sees the Protect come out on the Locust, he is not fearing the Scorpion Wasp. And we are going to see Icaria Gold get in there and take down FTJ tokens, which makes Toth our very first finalist of the day. He already has qualified and locked himself up a slot for the day 2 double elimination bracket. So very big congratulations to Toth, bringing home the win with his Icaria Gold deck. Unsurprising there. Toth's a very, very strong pilot, especially with the Icaria Gold deck. So it's not like this came out of any. It's not like this just came out of anywhere. Not too surprising to a lot of us. So very, very big congratulations to him. And unfortunately, K is going to fall down to the losers bracket. So we will see him again in 2 more matches. He will be playing the winner of Rewind versus Sir Rhino, which will be our next matchup. I do believe Rewind is on some sort of Felnscar deck, I want to say, and Sir Rhino is on Feln Aggro, which some people have described as the Delver of Eternal, for those of you who are familiar with Magic. So we'll see who can come out victorious there to meet K in the last match of Group A. So we will be back in just a few moments, folks. Do not go anywhere. We're going to continue to bring you